Have you ever said, don't judge me? Now, I think this is so interesting because people are often talking about being judgmental, don't judge me, things like that. But what people are trying to actually convey is, don't judge me unfavorably. Because a judgment really is a conclusion. Our brains are constantly making conclusions. Our brains are constantly, we're constantly judging. If I step outside and I see it's sunny and I'm like, it's a sunny, bright day, that's a judgment. If I look at a blue pen and I'm like, that's a blue pen, that's a judgment. I made a conclusion. When people are saying, don't judge me, they're really trying to say, don't judge me unfairly. Don't put me in a box where I am now labeled good or bad. Now, I don't think people are good or bad in terms of characteristics. I think as humans, we tend to oscillate between good or bad characteristics. But what we want is to always be looked upon favorably in society, in our different social contexts. What we want is the socialization that we have been embodied in to actually produce favorable outcomes. So when people are saying, don't judge me, they want you to see you in a favorable way so they may actually have favorable outcomes. Because when you are favored by people, doors open, people like you more, people embrace you more, things like that. So I just think it's important to understand that judgment is just a conclusion, and that conclusion could be wrong or it could be right depending on the information and the context in which you're being judged. So when you're walking around in your lived experiences, in your friends, family, whatever, you feel like you're being judged, you're correct. You're always being judged. Our brains are always being doing that. The question is, are you being judged fairly? That's the point, fairly. This is where in our humanness we can get things wrong because we're human. We have a tendency to look at things that make more sense to us, and just because something is good to us doesn't necessarily mean it's good to somebody else. So in our humanness, I don't think we actually have the capability of judging fairly at all times. I really don't. I think based on our different social contexts, we tend to actually judge people more unfairly than we do fairly. And one of my value systems is fairness. So I do my best in my humanness, but even then I can still miss information. I have to correct myself or make apologies if I make the wrong conclusions about somebody or something. In any case, I'm talking about judgment, of course, in a social context. I'm not talking about judgment when it comes down to God. I'm not talking about judgment when it comes down to illegal spaces. Those are two different kinds of judgments and a different kind of understanding.